Okay. It is the 3rd of December at 7 p.m. My name is Peter Beardmore. I'm the chair of the Lunenburg Capital Planning Committee, and I am calling our virtual meeting of the Lunenburg Capital Planning Committee to order. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and will be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel following the meeting. To view remotely from a computer, you can find the appropriate addresses for the Zoom meeting and the telephone lines with our agenda, which is posted on the town website and in the meeting posting locations at Town Hall. The agenda lists all of the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Having called the meeting to order, I will first ask if there is any public comment. Seeing none. Next is the chair's report. So we will probably immediately following this go to the superintendent's presentation. As I outlined the last time that we met, the superintendent and the business manager approached me about revisiting their request that we had met on back in early October. And so I am accommodating them and we are revisiting their request. I think given the newness of this process for many principals involved here, I think that it is appropriate to do so and to provide some leeway. Additionally, I forwarded the members an email that I received from the town manager today pertaining to some potential additional requests relating to IT, which may be coming in. We don't have a definitive answer on that yet. So we will talk following the presentation about how we coordinate that logistically. But I think that we should be able to accommodate, but we also want to make sure that we can also keep the ball rolling and support the town manager in her efforts to submit a capital plan sometime in late January or early February. My expectation is that we will likely need to meet both next Wednesday and the following Wednesday, the 10th and the 17th. We will try to do at least the 10th in person, and I recognize that at least one member will be traveling next week. And I don't know. It'll depend on our conversation later today. If we can land on a prioritized list by the 17th, or if we'll need to land on something that is more temporary and revisit the prioritization list in early January. With that, I think I will turn this over to Dr. Fortuna.
Mr. Chair, if I may very quickly.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to let you know that I do have a personal hard stop tonight at 7:45 with
Okay.
apologies. There's just some childcare overlap that needs to happen.
Understood.
Great.
My expectation is we should be well done by 7:45, but we'll see.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and the entire committee for extending us this grace. We learned a lot. Our last appearance was very instructive for us, and we wanted a chance to meet a higher standard than what we presented at our last time that we gathered. So tonight we have a revoted and a revamped capital plan for you. It was revoted by the school committee, I believe, at their last meeting. We start with the fiscal year 27 requests, but before we start that, we have great news that $1,120,891 was the total amount expended on FY25 capital projects. And those projects included at Turkey Hill, the security upgrade, which was completed this October. That was $134,000, $134,269. All of our invoices are in. And there you have a picture of our new front doors that actually close. It's very exciting. The fire alarm project was completed in August 2025 for a total of $322,240. All of our invoices are in for that. And then the exterior door upgrade was completed in August 2025 for a total of $164,482. And all of our invoices are in and accounted for that.
Let me stop you for just a second. Thank you for briefing that. And I also have the slide up here that outlines the mini split project as well. Relative to the exterior doors at Turkey Hill, I know that this predates all of the members of the administration, but I do want to take a moment just to kind of level set on that, because that project was originally scoped for a different scope or different scale than what was actually accomplished. And the reason was that inflation happened and bad quotes and things got discovered during construction that weren't anticipated. But can you possibly kind of outline what you understand to be the gap, and does that gap need to be filled, and or will it, or does this relate perhaps to the assessment that you're doing on Turkey Hill going forward?
So the gap that happened is similar to the primary school and the high school. A vestibule was supposed to be installed at Turkey Hill, to my understanding. That was ultimately scratched from the project because it would have required architectural drawings that at the time that it was proposed, people were not aware of, and structural changes to the building that caused the inflationary rise of the price to make it too large for us to continue forward with. So there is no vestibule at Turkey Hill as you would see at our other schools. And Mr. Beardmore, you are correct that this will be part of our overall assessment of Turkey Hill as we move forward to see if such a thing is necessary. Talking to the current principal and the current secretary here at the school, we do believe that the building is secure as designed, and that the lack of having the vestibule is not putting our students at risk today.
Okay. The doors themselves, though, like we've got the right doors and they're secure.
Yes, we do have the right doors. They are secure. Now, if I can just remember that I have to open the left one when I key in, we'll be all set. But they are the correct doors. They do shut. You don't have to jiggle the handle to get them to shut properly anymore. They are secure and they are strong.
Good. Okay.
Any other questions about these projects?
Nope.
And of course, you can see at primary, we did finish the mini split project. That was our most expensive project that happened for a total of $499,900. And there you see a picture of what a mini split looks like in a classroom and downstairs at the primary school.
I'm glad we're done.
Yes, I am as well.
That was a long road. Okay, good. Okay, we're into 26.
All right. So the first thing that we're asking for, and this is a difference from when we presented last time, is we had lumped an entire primary project together, which wasn't practical via timeline as well as it wasn't practical from a financial point of view. So we've broken that up into stages and chunks right now. So what we're looking for is a feasibility study for the entry and driveway expansion. We have a $25,000 quote from Niche Engineering, which if you click on that link, you will see, I believe it's an email form, that quote. We received it on 11/18/25. And what this would allow us to do is contract a designer to review the feasibility of the following study areas: Massachusetts Ave entry expansion options, current parking capacity during the school day weekend events. If any of you have been there, you have seen how crazy parking can be. Expansion of the driveway and driveway parking to the school facility. Evaluate emergency access, police, fire, and EMT vehicles with various capacity levels. We actually had an event that occurred in real time this year where at dismissal, a student had pulled the fire alarm. So we had the buses in the circle, we had the cars lined up, and we needed to get fire apparatus in because, of course, they needed to clear the building and make sure that everything was safe. And Miss Squire and Mr. Smith were there moving cars, directing traffic, shifting the traffic pattern. And that is just something that's not feasible and not safe for our students or our community. And then we also want them to review any environmental limitations related to the wetlands that border the school. Any questions on that?
So I guess just, I don't know if it's on this one or the next one, but when the feasibility and the design of the playground was kind of lumped with this one just because it's the same area.
Right, we
Is
split it
this
out.
one gonna just take that into consideration and like mark off an area that the playground would go into, or is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, our hope is to be able to do the two of these in conjunction with one another, and mapping where the playground would go. And that's our next slide is the playground school designer services with designing with some playground equipment. We received a quote from 2112 Landscape Architecture that these designer services, now this is just a design, would cost us approximately $30,000. And what we're looking for is a playground designer who will work with all the stakeholders in developing a new age-appropriate, inclusive, and accessible playground for the students of the Lunenburg Primary School. And we really want to be stress that inclusivity and accessibility point. And this is more than ADA compliance. True accessibility often goes beyond ADA compliance, which can just be seen as a checkbox. So we truly want to, at the primary school location, have an accessible playground for our community.
For this and the previous one involving the parking and driveway, I've become very sensitive to the phrase bid ready documents in trying to navigate the track and field complex. Does this bring us, do either of these projects bring us to that point, or is that a fait accompli given the design? It's just a matter of putting out an RFP using our own acquisition resources, or I just want to determine if there's a future delta here before we can go to bid on these.
Yeah, the future delta would be, given these design studies, working to put an RFP out to get bid ready documents.
Is
And
that something we'll be able to do in-house though, or is there going to be more money?
no, we'll be able to do that in-house, I believe.
Okay.
And Madam Town Manager is here as well, this is something that she has really looked into for us as well, is how do we get ready for a bid with some consultants. So I'm excited to partner with the town to be able to do that.
Yeah, I typically, and I'm happy to look at once we get into the contract documents for these designers, look at those with you in tandem. But typically for this price point, we're getting the scopes that we need, those technical scopes that we need to incorporate into the bid docs. And that's the part that we need that outside assistance on.
So again, both these projects, Niche and Studio 2112, have the ability to, in their quote, to work together to so there's no swing on the driveway.
Yes. We will not present you with a plan that could not happen because of our desire for the playground or the needs of the driveway.
Okay. And then just back on the driveway, one other question. Would the desire be to allow for parking on both sides of it? Because I know like when the soccer games are going on, people are parking on the no parking signs, and it's kind of a mess during that time too.
Yeah, it really is. And I don't know what the ultimate design feasibility would be. I can see widening it, changing how the bus circle works. There's lots of potential options that I can see. But it would really be a result of this feasibility study and that we would have a more definitive answer for you, Mr. Menard.
Okay, and then do you see it as a requirement or more of a desire to still have enough place for the soccer to utilize those fields?
Those fields are very utilized. So, in thinking of town space and the utilization that places have and the importance of field space to the community, I see it as necessary as keeping the majority of that space for soccer fields.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's move on.
The next one is an item that we've moved up, and I'm not sure was part of our original presentation, but school door security intercoms. The intercoms, that you have to press to get into the school, and there's a camera there. At Turkey Hill and Primary, the front and rear door buzzers don't have clarity on who's being led into the building. So because our secretaries are, Alicia and Chrissy, are as wonderful and great as they are, they will ask people to move if they don't recognize the voice. Usually they recognize the voice, but this is really a security issue for us. And we priced out what this would cost. They're both beyond their useful life of 20 years. So it would be $24,044 that this would cost us to replace those intercom camera systems.
Do those get recorded?
They do not.
So this is essentially that there's a blind spot.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
No, I was asking. No, it was a question.
Correct, Ms. Moran.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And just remind me, is 25K our capital?
20.
20.
It is 20? Okay.
Yep.
Yes, some of these are just over the threshold.
Okay.
Okay.
Next. Next is the primary school safety film. You will consistently see the return of the safety film. We've discussed this a lot. We actually have a fresh quote here for you that we received on November 1st. This would be for the security film with anchor and caulk. It would be for Cool View security, 8mm window coverings. and it would cover 286 panes of glass.
Is this effectively the same material as the 3M material that we used on the other buildings?
It is. Our replacement mower, once we got a real quote, you'll notice it increased in size substantially. It's now $49,800, and our current mower is beyond its useful life of 20 years. And we work to find a cheaper solution where we to replace the one that we have, it would cost closer to $75,000. So being mindful of our expenses, we went with a mid-range model, not the best and not the worst, due to the amount of wear and tear and the longevity that we expect to get out of our capital investments.
Okay, and this would bring us, because we have another zero turn mower, right?
Correct.
This would bring us to basically two functional ones.
Correct. It would
And
be really nice to have.
Is this one operational, or is this basically dead?
The one we currently have is not operational. It went kaput during this past mowing season.
Are we needing to contract in lieu of the availability of this mower, or are we doing what we need to do with one but stretching the mowing? Or
We're doing what we need to do with one. We have an incredible maintenance team, which I'm sure you're all aware of here, who makes do with what they have, and they made it work with one mower.
It'll be interesting if you're still saying that at Maytown meeting with the spring growth season.
I'm
Probably gonna have more of a challenge. Yeah.
this is one of those things, though, where when it goes down, it's really problematic.
Yes.
Okay.
And then this one is at the bottom of the priority list. The purpose for heating the maintenance garage here would really be in order to divest the school completely from TC Passios. And the price for this, would be, I was shocked at how much this was actually, would be $60,000. And the reason for it, like I said, is that there's many materials that can't be stored in a school that we are currently storing at TC Passios because the garage there is heated. And the hope is to bring everything in-house here at Turkey Hill.
Is this I had heard from Chris Ruth that this had been precipitated by the town's need for storage at TC Passios. Does anybody know kind of the backstory definitively in terms of, is one thing really driving the other? We don't know.
I haven't really, no.
Okay.
You have,
Chris said to me that he viewed this as a very good thing for facilities as well, due to effectively needing the space. I'm sure he said more than that, but I don't remember the details of that conversation. It was just in passing.
So the reason why I ask, and I think Dr. Fortuna knows where this is going, but originally I had heard that the plan was that we were no longer going to be using that garage space at TC Passios. And then I heard, well, we're going to be using it for storage space. And, which, by the way, I don't have a strong opinion either way. I want to make sure that the decision-making that we're doing around the use of space is well-grounded and smart. And if we do have a need for other needs for that space at TC Passios, and it helps our operations at the schools, okay, but I just want to make sure that we're not kind of chasing our tails around what we think we need and what we think we're doing at TC Passios.
I remember the discussion now. I was speaking with Mr. Ruth, and my understanding is part of the goal is to use the space at TC Passios as well. I think storage is a misnomer. I think there will be some storage there, but also as a general workshop space. Right now, a lot of the work facilities has to do can only be done during good weather, during pleasant to be outside months. Because, for example, all the work they just did at Ritter in the planning office, building that nice counter and everything, had to be done outside because there's nowhere else to do the work. And that limits how much they can get done and when they can get done and what they can do.
And our interest is the town interest. So
Mhm.
if the town does need that space, and it sounds like from Mr. Ruth, they do. There's so many Chris's in this conversation. It sounds like they do, then we, of course, would think that this was important for the schools.
And to the extent that the future of TCP is uncertain, weaning what we can away from there makes sense too.
Mhm.
Mhm. It
Yeah.
does, Mr. Chair.
Yep, I agree. Okay.
So I toured the public safety building this past week and they mentioned that the heater in their garage is undersized. So I just want to make sure that we're sizing it appropriately. I do see that we went to an HVAC company, but presumably they did too. So we may want to just compare notes on the size of it.
Thank you.
I I swear to God, I could design the public safety building better. Um, do you know, Chris, offhand, if that's covered by the request that they made around their HVAC? Are they planning to reroute?
I don't think it was on a request yet, but I think he was given it as a preview of coming attraction.
We've got a request for 2 boilers.
Yeah, no, this is like a little thing that hangs in the upper corner of a garage.
Oh, okay. It's like an electric thing. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I assume this is the same. Is that,
Yes.
Okay.
and this includes, is this electric or,
I'm
I'm
not.
looking at the quote, but, oh, gas piping, venting and gas piping.
Yep.
So this has everything, then it has, you have gas being run to it and,
hmm
okay,
And as you can see on the quote, it's a middle of the road construction, should be between 30 and 50, but due to the gas situation, it could be as much as 60 at the high end.
okay.
Oh, so I guess, do you know if they explored the feasibility of electric?
I am not sure, Ms. Warren, if they did.
Okay. If,
Don't
I'd be
think they
curious
did.
if they did, if there might be any incentives or anything there with going that route. I'm wondering about like the trenching potential of the gas pipe and all that might be what's driving some of this.
Yep.
Because it's like, a 5-6 month need for, I just don't want to overbuild, I guess.
Yeah, I understand that. I can check with Chris Stevens if they had in fact explored that.
Okay.
I'm unsure.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then if there is a green community kind of thing,
That's
Yeah.
where I was going.
yeah, that hit us last year, didn't it?
Yep. Okay.
All right, fiscal year 28. Now we have the primary school driving and parking expansion. We actually, this remains unknown for the dollars because we haven't done the studies yet. But the funding will allow for the expansion of the driveway and parking based on the FY 27 feasibility design study and recommendations.
Okay.
And we did get a quote for the playground, but again, this isn't an exact quote because we don't have the design completely done yet. But this is about the amount that was quoted to us for the purchase and installation of the type of playground that we want. That was designed in FY '27 with input from the community.
Emmy O'Brien is great.
Yes. I am so happy to hear that.
We have the generator on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I opened up the quote
Yeah.
and lost the plan. The primary school generator, we spoke to Craft Power. We know that this is something that has continually come up. The price continues to increase. We have left it on because of the recent power outage that we had at Turkey Hill, where well, not at Turkey Hill in the high school. Primary was actually fine during that due to a transformer issue in town. And the thought of not having at least the limited generator backup that we had here at Turkey Hill over at Primary would have forced us to cancel school for the day because we can't bring our youngest learners into a dark environment. It just would be a safety hazard. So this would be a diesel engine generator set. The quote is now up to $292,998. I forgot, Mr. Beardmore, what you said it was at the start when this was first proposed. And I realize that this is a high expense item.
If one school misses a school day, how does that count against the requirement?
That one school has to make up the school day. And at primary school, it would just be the first and second grade that would have to make up the day because kindergarten and preschool are not compulsory.
Okay. And then last time we had talked a little bit about this being a warming place or a,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that we learned that that is not the town's plan, right?
Yeah, that
That
was
is true.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. There is an additional cost if the schools go out of sync in terms of the days and we have to run the buses
Yes.
for the primary or elementary when we're not running the buses for the middle high school. There's an additional cost associated with that as well.
Do we have like a very back of the napkin guess at what that is?
I don't recall, but I do recall that it has happened within the last couple of years due to certain events.
We run, and Chris, you might know this, the cost per bus, Chris McNamara. We run 11 buses through the town. Chris, do you know the cost per bus?
Well, I was looking at it the other day. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I think it's around $500 per bus. I could be wrong. I'm looking it up right now.
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that rough that meets my like my own need for understanding is so maybe we could even say 10 grand would be, but that for an extra day of school. I mean, there'll be other costs, of course, et cetera, but as a baseline, thank you.
Okay.
All right. We finally finished the mini splits at primary. And again, this and the school committee, as you know, is having active discussions every week now, not every week, at every meeting about what their desires and wishes are to pursue here at Turkey Hill. But pending that decision, we still felt that we needed to have the Turkey Hill Elementary School classroom mini splits. Dakin gave us a verbal quote of around $500,000, which makes sense when you look at what just happened over at the primary school. And this would provide for the installation of ductless split systems for classrooms and office workspaces, new installation of controls because they would control all mini split units through the building network. And these monitor, control, and optimize heating and cooling for the entire building.
Does this $500,000 account for Green Communities participation, or this is a gross cost?
It would likely have to be done in phases if the green community money was the only money that we have, but it does account for some green communities funding.
Okay.
If we do have to break it into phases, phase one would prioritize 17 units, and 16 additional units would be taken up in phase two.
Okay.
And as I sit in my office with my space heater on, I can tell you that this would be a needed project at Turkey Hill.
And you're in the good end.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, over to the town manager's office. It's hot as heck.
Jen, I'm going to borrow some of your heat.
It is roasting.
All right.
This is, and we had talked about this sometime at our last presentation too. What this would allow us to do is have key card access to the booth. One of the reasons that key card access is important is we have some very expensive equipment in the control booth. It would allow us to upgrade the audio mixer, and it would allow us to do both basic mode for, like, say I'm doing a quick presentation to the teachers, or there's a staff meeting in there with 2 microphones, or when we do a large scale event such as town meeting, special town meeting, anything else that we would use. It would allow us to do that seamlessly. And then some of these equipment changes are required to support the new audio system that we just put in. And I feel bad, Mr. Menard, because I feel like this is adding a surprise cost to a project we already did. And I know I've committed, and we've talked about no surprises.
It's fine. With these mixers and stuff, I don't know how, like, plays and concerts and stuff that go on there, do those get streamed well across the current network, or would this be an improvement to that?
That audio system has been a problem since day one.
The
And
new one, or the what's in the booth, or the
what's in the booth?
okay.
And part of the problem, from my perspective, has been the surrounding componentry in the room itself, which I think we've upgraded some of that.
Mm-hmm.
But a bigger problem is it's a difficult system to run.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to know what you're doing. You have to prep it well in advance. You have to test it, and then you have to be there and manage it during the event. And so part of it is a staffing and training kind of deal. But it's just a complex system to run. My understanding is that from what is being proposed, it does automate some of this, so you can come up with presets for different circumstances. But like what we experience in town meeting is at virtually every town meeting is par for the course for every other event that happens in that room, unfortunately.
I can give a recent example. We had our National Honor Society induction, and part of that induction is a rose ceremony. And the students dedicate a rose to a member of their family. if they weren't practically eating the microphone, you couldn't hear what they were saying in the crowd. And it was sad because there were some people obviously sitting further back, and I was sitting in the front row and I could barely hear them. So we do need to do something about the audio in that space.
So I have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
Does the new system, is it simple enough, air quotes, simple enough that students are going to be able to run it, like the AV club or what have you?
So last year, if there's proper training, Walter does
Right.
it for us now. Last year, Walter was a student.
Right.
So I think if there's sufficient training and interest, that could be a possibility.
And then is there any interface with the light panels from this? Do you know, like,
I
will this
don't know.
also because I was wondering if I guess is there upgrades needed on the light system?
There are. Unfortunately, we have not placed those in
Yeah.
the capital plan, just because of the prioritization, but there are upgrades needed to the light system. That hasn't worked right, I would guess, from day one either, Mr. Beardmore.
I'm wondering if like the systems would talk to each other,
Hmm.
especially
check.
like so much now is the sound going with the lights that I feel like this is just coming
Yeah.
like this now. Those are my only questions.
Yeah, and
I
it
can.
would be good to know the comprehensive aspect of what's needed in the auditorium, even if it is phased.
Oh, you're going to get Jordan very, very excited and happy.
I didn't say we'd pay for it, but
Just that we're talking about it.
yeah, okay, good.
I will check with him and get that full scope for you.
I'm sensitive to the time here. Dr.
Yeah.
Brinkman, you need to be someplace else in 15 minutes.
Yes, I do.
So we don't have to go through the entire thing, but if there's something that you want to, we can, we'll give you as much time as you want, but
No, FY 29 and 30 is really just our best guesses right now. We did get estimates for them. You'll see that, just to give you an overview, that FY 30 is very technology heavy. Network firewall replacement, the replacement of the projectors at the high school, both are going to be at their end of their life. The district phone-wide system upgrade. We just did a phone system upgrade to make them 911 compliant and legal, but this would allow us to upgrade our phones because our current product will not be supported after 2030. And then again, a big THES project is the replacement of all doors here, not just the critical ones that we did this year. And again, that's dependent on what the school committee discusses and determines to be the outcome. That's what we have. I hope this was better and more informative than it was last time.
yeah, no, I greatly appreciate it. And I think this is very helpful to us. And I know that things have evolved even over the course of the last couple of months with some of this. I did want to just mention that to and I think most of the members of the capital planning committee are aware, the track and field complex discussion is in motion as we speak. A week and a half ago, I attended a meeting that the facilities director had put together with a potential bidder just to kind of get some scope and ideas around how we might proceed. I think that it's likely that we will have a discussion about this in the new year and potentially a separate article about it for town meeting. So we will have to reserve headspace for that discussion.
Okay, is that gonna come through capital planning or is that gonna be outside of capital planning?
Yeah, so my intention, Chris, and we've talked about this a little bit, but I think that people have been in different meetings. My intention is to treat it as a capital item, meaning that we all participate, to include the town manager, just as we would the regular capital plan. But given the urgency of this, but the timing, that we run it as a parallel and slightly behind sort of motion. And will likely require a separate article. But still everybody will weigh in as they would a regular capital plan item.
Okay, I may have another question, but I think we can let Chris and Jody go.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for accommodating us. I appreciate all of you giving us your time. I know time is our most precious resource right now, and so thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Enjoy your meeting tonight.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Just on the turf, is that intended to be a multi-year borrowing kind of scenario? Is that?
It's a good question. Truth be told, Chris, I don't know. I really don't have a clear indication. I mean, there's going to be borrowing. Straight answer is there'll be borrowing. The question is it an appropriation for design and bid ready documents, and then another borrowing for the project, or a borrowing, a separate thing for the project, or can they be brought together? And we don't have an answer, to my knowledge, on that yet. I think it's going to be, frankly, very difficult to combine them. But I think that, I'm also looking at like today's items, right? Like, I mean, if you think about some of the costs of some of the things that we looked at, relative to just our grounds for our buildings, we may want to look at a borrowing that combines some of these things, right? Such as the property at the primary school. So I think these are conversations that need to be had over the course of the next several months.
Yeah, I guess, one of the things that we are tending to do in Lunenburg is studying a problem and coming up with expensive plans for it and then not going forward with it.
Yep.
And it seems like it would be good if we were going to commit to something that we just commit to it.
I totally
because we've wasted a lot of money on
Plan.
Yeah.
in delays, cause problems. So I don't know. That's one thing that's just been in the back of my mind, and I think it's worthy of just a discussion amongst the capital planning committee on thoughts relative to the funding side of things.
I share your line of thought.
Good.
Yep. Okay. We skipped the town manager's report, but I think it's probably timely for the town manager to kind of weigh in on kind of where we're at in the process, the IT thing, and how you see where we're at.
Right. So the IT part was a little bit of a surprise today. Actually, I was asking when they would be ready to present on the out years because I was told there was nothing for this year. And then I heard that there was a project that was originally slated for FY27 for network infrastructure upgrades at around $90,000. So I have a meeting tomorrow morning with SUSER IT to understand the need and timing of that project. If this is something that is not timely for FY27, if it was somewhat arbitrary, I need to understand that. I won't probably bring it back if it's something that can be easily pushed off, and then we'll just present the out years separately, right?
Right.
So other than that, are there any questions that remain that you need to hear more from department heads, or do we think?
So I was going through the presentations today and started a spreadsheet of this list that kind of combines them all. I'm not completed it yet. I got caught up on something this morning and was going back and forth. And then truth be told, I saw your email as a get out of jail free card, because if we needed to add something, it would give me another day.
Absolutely.
But I think we've talked through every question that I had specific to any item. And we received back like a very minor change from the facilities director. So I think we're in good shape.
Okay, so yeah, I think probably whether or not we have another presentation for FY27, that would be the one item that would be in it. I think at your next meeting can start the weighing and analyzing and.
Okay, so this is how I would propose that we come at this. You're gonna know, Jen, by end of day tomorrow, if we're gonna get an FY27 request.
Yeah.
Okay. I will wait for that, because I
Okay.
would rather not make multiple versions of this spreadsheet and create a rev problem.
Okay,
I will wait for that, and then before I send it to the committee, because we have a history of screwing this up, I am gonna bring it to you to review and just
okay,
ask you like, hey, can you check the number? Like that kind of thing, right?
cross check.
Am I
Thank you.
missing something? Like we've managed to mess this up multiple different ways in the past. So I'd prefer not to do that. I'd prefer to do it accurately. But my expectation would be by Friday, we could have a list that we can circulate. Whether or not we're going to add an item to that list for IT, that's the question. Do we add it to the list, or we don't add it to the list and then fix it later? My very not well thought out logic here is we don't add it. We work with what we currently have, and then next week if we know that we're not going to get a new presentation, then we come with our own prioritized list and we're ready to discuss them. We're not going to tabulate them. If we do know that we are getting a new thing, we don't do anything. And then we just basically hear that, have the discussion, and then do our rankings following the discussion. Now, I'm not even sure what I just said, so let me just. Sense to everybody?
I do have one question, not for the department heads, but you had at one point talked about moving the police cruisers from the capital plan into the budget. Where does that stand?
Well, I think it's just in general two things. One is it depends if we change our capital planning policy, because our current capital planning policy, as written, says $20,000 in a 3-year useful life.
Right.
So under the 3-year useful life, that's fine. If and when we switch over to a 5-year useful life, that's when that really does need to happen.
So we're not at this point for this year talking about doing that.
Right.
I don't
Okay.
think so. Yeah.
Okay. Second question. Talk to me about why the IT request is so late in the game here.
Because the IT is outsourced through a vendor. We have staff that manages that. We have one staff member that manages that vendor. The staff member and I both understood that SUSER was not requesting anything for FY27 until we said, when are we going to get the presentations on the out years? And that's when we heard, oh, there is a request for FY27. I'm actually wondering if this is a confusion between their understanding of fiscal years, because there is no request for FY26. Truthfully, they had nothing. And so I don't know if they can, I have no idea. I will find out.
This is still SUSER?
SUSER.
They know. I mean, we've been.
They know the fiscal years.
They should know.
They know.
No, they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 So let me try to repeat back what I think I just said 3 minutes ago. So I'm going to wait for guidance from the town manager till tomorrow. Once I have that guidance, I will communicate with the committee what that guidance is, whether we're going to get something or not. Either way, I will, with that guidance, send you folks an Excel spreadsheet with the list of current requests. If we're getting something new next week, don't bother doing your rankings. We'll hear it, and then we'll have a discussion about any outline questions, and then we'll bring our rankings the following week. If we are not hearing it, basically the same outcome from the meeting, but bring a ranking, because then we can kind of have a discussion about, I ranked this last, why did you do that? You know, I can tell Matthew he's crazy again, and we'll
Yeah,
we'll do that
I'll
next
respond in
week.
kind.
We'll do that next week instead of the week following. So that's kind of, and I'll outline that in the email that I send later in the week. But that'll be the variable. And Chris, I understand you're not logging in from a cruise ship next week. So we will make do. We will not vote on a final tally until the following week anyway. So we can.
Hey, if you do get something on Friday, I might be able to print it out and
Okay.
give you a ranking, not in the sheet, but
Okay. Yeah. We call it in.
yeah.
Mr. Chair, what time do we expect next week's meeting to be?
I would plan for 7 p.m. This was
Okay.
this was an outlier because of the school committee meeting at 7 tonight. And meeting,
Okay.
meeting to get
I think I will be fine. Master Plan Steering Committee has not posted its agenda for next week yet. But I know they intend to have a meeting next week, which I think will be 6 and thus fine. But they expect it will be the final meeting of that committee, so I want to be there for the start of it, basically to say thank you for 3 years of hard work.
Awesome.
So I will let you know if they post that differently than 6 o'clock, but I think we will be a-okay there.
All right. Sounds good.
Just scheduling wise, I was talking to town manager earlier today. We may try to get in a tri-board before the end of the year. I know we haven't really discussed it amongst the boards. But that, if we try to get it in before the end of the year, that week after next would also be probably the ideal week, right? Because after that, it's Christmas week.
Either the week for the tri-board, either the week of the 15th or the 29th.
Okay.
That would be on what day of the week?
It's flex.
Kind of like, okay.
Anything but Friday so far.
Okay. Got it. Understood. Okay. Okay. We kind of covered the item number 7 for discuss and review rankings plan. So we'll check that off. Any other questions on scheduling or the game plan at this point? Okay. We did receive some minutes since we last met. We have minutes from the 29th of October and from the 5th of November. Has anybody had a chance to review those? Any thoughts on voting on them?
I have not had a chance to review them yet.
Okay. Do we want to table that?
Yeah, why don't we table that until next time?
Okay, I'm down with that. And I think we're back on track for minutes and we should be good there. And we're planning to meet for the next 2 Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Ideally, at least one of them in person. I will keep you apprised. Is there any public comment?
I don't have public comment, but just next week, Tanya may come just to
Okay.
support from finance the same
Okay.
way.
I'll copy her on the agenda then. Is there any public comment? All right. Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Brenner, a second from Mr. Bowen. This will be a roll call vote. Mr. Menard,
Aye.
Mr. Bowen,
Aye.
Mr. Brenner,
Aye.
Mr. Nuzzolo,
Aye.
and an aye for myself. Thank you, everybody.
All right,
We are
bye all.
adjourned.
Great. Have a good night, everybody.
Safe travels, Chris.
Thank you.